You're muted, prick. But all right, well, welcome back to another episode of the 3rd and 20 Dynasty Pod. I was gonna kick it off saying, unlike the Patriots, we're going straight to the moon. But
we had a Patriots as
That was a failed takeoff.
Yeah,
that was the Dolphins punt.
yeah.
Oh my!
All right, well, we're just gonna kick it off here. Welcome everyone, another episode of 3rd and 20 Dynasty Pod. Season 3 over with. We're on to season 4, and I'm just gonna kick us right off with injury news and notes. We don't have a whole lot, but what we do is somewhat significant to a team that I really like. New England Patriots. Mac Jones has a high ankle sprain. Now, I do think doctors are making it worse than what it actually is, because if you saw Mac Jones, I don't know if you guys saw Mac Jones coming off the field, but he was like essentially like crying and like hobbling on one foot. It was bad look. So they came out, said it's a high ankle sprain, but like Mike Reese, the ESPN, I think it was Mike Reese, the ESPN Patriots beat reporter, whatever you call him, he was tweeting like, yeah, most other people, like if they had this injury, they need surgery, but not Mac. Mac's tough and he's going to hopefully play in a few weeks, but I don't know what the actual case is. All we know is it's the dread high ankle sprain. Normally, you don't like to see that for a running back or a wide receiver. I don't know how much this is going to affect someone that is, not a mobile quarterback, but does play the game of football at an elite level, or maybe not elite level, but a high level. I don't know, guys. It's just like take all your Patriots players, put them in the dumpster. Like, is that what's going on?
I mean, most people in that offense should have already been. Unless like Mac Jones is your QB2 or something. I don't feel comfortable starting any Patriots receiver, honestly, player. Maybe Dameon Jones is like a flex, but even then, it's like Rhamondre Stevenson got most of the carries last week.
Damien Harris. I was trying to figure out who you're talking about.
Yeah, sorry, Damien Harris. But with him, the only thing I've seen is that it's probably going to be closer to 6 weeks than like 3.
Okay.
With the Mac Jones injury. Because they said it was a severe high ankle sprain rather than, I guess, a non-severe one. I don't know, but
nah, they're just hyping him up. They're hyping it up.
I mean, he looked like JT said, he was like crying, walking off the field. No, but yeah, I think like the only one like people were really considering after that game was like, oh, maybe Devontae Parker is going to like establish himself as like a number 1. He had like a really good game against Baltimore, but now without Mac Jones there, I don't know. Who's the backup? Is it Hoyer or is it the Zach?
It's going to be Hoyer. There's no way Belichick's throwing in a 4th week rookie.
In that case, like a Hoyer offense with Matt Patricia calling the plays and
it's going to be gross.
Judge, it's not going to be great. I don't feel comfortable starting anyone on that offense, even like someone like Damien Harris, where a lot of times you were just kind of rooting for a touchdown. I don't know. They're not going to have as many scoring opportunities, obviously, without Mac Jones. So I'm avoiding that entire offense.
Well, it's with Mac Jones being injured, and we're also not doing the beta great segment this week. I think Devontae Parker would have been a prime person to put on this beta great, and I think he's just complete bait. It's the Ravens secondary, which I trashed last week, and then it's also Jacoby Myers out, where I still think Jacoby Myers is the main guy in this offense. So even with Mac coming back in however many weeks, Devontae Parker is someone that if I could trade for a third, I would. Just a quick little side tangent there.
I think one thing, though, my opinion on Mac Jones is that I still like him long term. I don't know.
Oh, this injury doesn't change anything.
This doesn't change my dynasty value.
There's just a tier of quarterbacks that are always going to be like good, not great guys. Mac Jones, I feel like I'm confident that he belongs in the NFL. I just don't think he's ever going to be a superstar. And I think there's a lot of quarterbacks that kind of fall in that tier. So to me, it's just if I have one of those guys, I'd always be just pivoting to the one at the lower end of that tier and just picking up whatever value I can. Because I think, there's a whole range of quarterbacks where they're I'm not taking credit for this. I heard someone else say it, but I think it was Jacob Sanderson on Twitter, maybe. I forget. But it's Dak is the overpriced Derek Carr, who's the overpriced Mac Jones, who's the overpriced Kirk Cousins, who's the overpriced, and it just keeps going down and down until you get to like Jared Goff. But like they're all going to give you about the same amount of points week in, week out. It's just some are more overvalued than others, and you might as well just tear down and pick up whatever extra value to keep you going.
Well, I don't agree with that.
So, yeah, I think it's.
I think it does depend on which one though, because age does play a factor in that. Like,
sure,
it's like
but
if we're talking like Mac Jones versus like a 32, 33-year-old Kirk Cousins, who's a decade older. Like, there does play value in that. But I get the general consensus of what you're saying.
Yeah,
in terms of just
they're obviously not the same player, but it is like you're getting similar output from these guys, and now especially with Dak not being as mobile as he was. All right.
Yeah, I would just like don't sell at Mac Jones's keep trade cut price. I would not be doing that. I think it's like
what is it? Let me pull.
I'd
agree. I think
first.
I think Mac as a whole at this point, because I don't know, even the games he played. He was put in like a really shitty situation this season with the offense between the play calling, the scheme, and the weapons that he has. I don't think they did him any favors. I'm not even like a huge Mac guy like that. Like, I think he's pretty good. I don't think he's ever going to be like a star quarterback. But they did him. They gave him nothing this year. And then the injury, like we see how injuries affect people's values, especially if they're out for a few weeks. They always end up dropping. So I would keep Mac Jones. I'm just holding him.
I would totally do these trades though. I'm looking at him. Mac Jones plus Jimmy G for Trey Lance. Give me the Lance side. Yeah. Mac Jones for a first and a third. I think I'd rather take the first and the third.
I agree.
What else was I looking at? Mac Jones for a first and a second. I don't know. I think from what I'm seeing, there's not a lot.
That's surprising. Yeah,
there's not a lot of Mac going for less than a first value. I don't know.
And that's well above the keep trade cut price.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah. I would not sell at that keep trade cut price.
All right. So it's a consensus take. Let's move on.
Okay. Sterling Shepard, torn ACL. I mean, not like he's probably just a depth play.
Get a new fucking turf.
Yeah, that MetLife turf.
There's so many injuries on this field, and I forget what was. I watched the whole game.
Did you see like the video? It wasn't even when he was like in full sprint. Like he was like slowing down, almost walking at that point.
Who? It was one of the Cowboys defensive linemen, I think.
Got Bosa. Like his foot I know Bosa did.
Not Bosa. It was yesterday's game. It was Lawrence, maybe, where he got his like foot stuck in the turf essentially when he was trying to chase down Daniel Jones. It's like, what's going on? Like, why is it such a bad field? He ended up having to take a few plays off, but then he came back. But yeah, from a dynasty perspective, Sterling Shepard, probably just a depth play. Obviously isn't great. He was kind of off to a good season. We all picked him up on the dynasty stock market, and then of course that happened. So naturally, but does this make someone like Kenny Golladay like actually viable? No. Kadarius Toney, like
Tony and Waddle. Tony and Waddle are the two.
Well, what about Richie James?
Honestly, I was about to say that.
Playing.
Yeah, dude. Richie James.
I still. Yeah, and so was Tony. Tony had a hamstring, so he was inactive.
He's got a fucking perennial hamstring.
That's true.
The hamstrings linger. I know, and that's his issue. But I'm saying when he's back, I mean, ultimately,
he's always got to be back. He's the new Julio. He just hasn't done anything.
Okay. We keep lumping
it's
Julio
every week it's something else. Oh, well, this week it's my hamstring. This week it's because I got in an argument. This week it's because my ankle.
Would you rather have
just gonna snow? It's gonna be something until he falls victim to the shitty MetLife turf, and boom, he's out for the year.
I know, but
that for the next two seasons.
We've seen guys in like maybe like their first season, or 1 or 2 or 1.5 seasons, like deal with injuries and kind of finally get it together and stay on the field. Like this isn't something.
Sure, I mean it's happened before, but I just don't have faith in Tony. He was a risky prospect. The Giants reached.
He was a risky prospect, but not because of injury.
Sure, but that
he never missed time in college.
The evaluation but this still plays into the evaluation of him now. Risky prospect, has no production to date, always injured in the NFL on a bad team. It's just a recipe to fade off into the abyss.
I mean, the Tony truth will always cling to that one game where literally
had
all his
180
yards are out.
yards. Yeah.
Which, I mean, it was still a great game, but like...
The one that interests me, though, because, okay, Richie James, decent waiver pickup. I'm not going to trade for Richie James.
No.
But
are either of you taking Richie James over Tony or Wando?
What do you mean? Like,
maybe
if there's a redraft league,
Dynasty.
I'd rather... Oh, no, Dynasty.
No, you're not taking Richie James over those guys, but...
That's what you guys made it seem like.
I didn't make it seem like that. I
Frank
think Wandale's.
Like
I'm just saying. I'm starting to get fucking tired of Tony's bullshit. That doesn't mean I'm going to take Richie James. I'm going to value Richie James over him.
Okay.
Big distinction.
So we acknowledge Tony's more talented player.
Tony still has value. He still has talent. I'm just done with the bullshit.
More interestingly, though, what about Richie James versus Kenny Galladay? Is Kenny Galladay just straight dead? Like, is he?
Yes.
Pretty much. I think. I mean, I still, for some reason, roster him. I don't know why. But I think as someone who has him, you're just praying that it gets so bad to the point that he gets cut and maybe he tries more on a different team. I think that's literally like your only hope.
What about Wandale? Fuck Galladay. Galladay sucks. We all know Galladay sucks. What about Wandale?
Wandale's good. Wandale will replace. Wandale will put Richie James right back on the bench.
That's going to be Wandale.
Yeah,
I think Wandale's going to have a very good second half of the season. I think it's going to take him a little while to get back to, full speed after the injury and stuff. But I think he's in store for a good second half.
So, would you guys be looking to acquire Wandale, and if so, at what price? What are you offering out? 12-team half PPR league.
I want to see what he and Tony are priced at. Like you trade cut.
I'll pull up.
I would offer probably a high-end second-round pick, an early second-round pick.
What about a 2 and a 3? What about a 2 and a 3? And does that even get accepted? Like,
I don't think it gets accepted at that point.
I'm trying to see
if it's a late. I'm assuming you're talking late 2 and a late 3.
I'm not offering either of those for Wandale.
I'm looking at Wandale's for second has been accepted straight up.
I'd send one later second for Wandale. I'm not sending an early second or a second and a third for Wandale.
Really? I mean, you're not like.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're getting him then.
Right.
That's okay.
I don't know. There's not a lot of the trades that have actually occurred. There's not a lot to suggest that Wandale is actually valued
worth an early second.
Yeah, like I'm looking here.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Wandale in the 5th for Boston Scott, Marquez Callaway in the 2nd. Wandale in the 3rd for Rashod White. Yeah, the 2nd. It's Wandale for a 2nd, basically. Wandale and Isaiah Pacheco for Zamir White. Carson Wentz in a 2nd for Wandale Robinson and Davis Mills. There's not a lot suggesting that he's like a high.
I mean, you're right.
I don't. In no world am I sending an early second for Wandale. I just don't have the. Go ahead.
Would you? Okay, let's just assume the price is a late 23 second. Who there is sending out their 23 second form right now?
What? So we're talking 208 plus, right? 208.
You're a contending team. It's not guaranteed, but you're a contending team. You're 2-1. You're feeling frisky. You want to pick up potential flex play in a week or two.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad move. Honestly, the Giants have no weapons. Richie James is getting 7 targets a game?
The counter argument is the Giants had no weapons last year, the year before that, and I mean, how many of them were fantasy relevant?
I think that's fair value for me personally. Would I for a 23 late second? Probably not. I think I can get someone there who's similar talent, if not slightly ahead, in a better draft class, and hopefully a more preferable situation.
Well, then how about this? Okay. What if we came up with a more creative way? Because I'm thinking about buying Wandale, if we're being completely honest. I was never really in on him, but dude, fuck it, baby. I might buy. I might take the bait and buy.
Is it
How
bait?
How can I be more creative? I feel like it's bait. Hell yeah, I think it's bait.
I think
I'm definitely buying the next 2 Atwell.
I don't know. What do you want to get more creative with here?
Okay, if a 23 second is too much for Wan'Dale, or you just don't want to do that trade, what can we add in on a trade to make it more favorable for us on the back end?
I think the move, obviously it depends on which second round pick it is, because I don't think you're going to be able to get away with this with a pick like 211 or 212. But I think if you offer something, maybe like a 206, 207 for Wan'Dale in a late third or like a mid-later third, like that kind of thing where you can still get a pick just later in the third round, I think that's a trade I like a lot.
I don't think that gets accepted.
That's where I say it depends on which second and which third. Because if it's like...
Because that's just straight up adding value to our side of the trade.
Yeah, but I thought we were saying that not many people are giving up 23 like decent seconds for Wan'Dale.
Apparently some. Because JT was reading out the trades.
I've only seen one straight up 2023 second for Wan'Dale, and that was a week ago. Otherwise, it's not looking like it's like Wan'Dale for Mecole Hardman, Wan'Dale in a fourth for Rondale Moore, Wan'Dale in a second for Juju, 23 second. Wan'Dale in a 24 second for Jahan Dotson. That was
if it takes Wan'Dale on a 23 second to get Juju.
I mean,
like,
yeah, I feel like
what's Juju's value at? I would have guessed like a decent second.
All the trades that you're reading off have got me. He seems like he's a mid to late second, exactly what Jake was saying before. I thought maybe people would have hyped him up a little bit more. I mean, maybe people do, and that's why there's not a ton of trades here.
Yeah, he just seems like a guy that's not getting moved a whole lot. I think whoever has him probably wants to hold him.
I think that is a lot of the case just because he hasn't played a lot early in the year. But to your point of if you don't want to trade a second for him, I get that. Like this 23 class is supposedly very good. Like you just drafted Wan'Dale, or you want to pick up Wan'Dale without giving up that 2023 pick. Would you guys like think about going something like Allen Robinson for Wan'Dale?
Oh, that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I don't think that gets accepted.
What about Robinson in a third?
I probably
think
you have to add on top of Allen Robinson to get Wan'Dale?
Yeah, I mean, at least for me, I'd easily rather have Robinson. Looks, he's done.
What about a guy like Gallup or Lazard?
No,
like one of those.
I think I'd rather just have Gallup straight up.
I'd rather have Gallup.
Lazard, I would trade off. Lazard has what's considered some of the worst competition around him for targets, and he's getting tied for like third or fourth on his team in targets.
The thing is that if you like Wan'Dale and you think that Wan'Dale's going to come in and if he ends up becoming on a points per game basis a top 40 receiver,
sure,
you're telling me that his value isn't going to skyrocket and blow way past Allen Robinson? Allen Robinson's out here. He's just terrible. Who wants Allen? You don't want Allen Robinson. Sucks. He's gone.
No, I think
Van Jefferson's about to come in and be
Van
like,
Jefferson's
yo, I'm
take
going to get like
spot.
way more target share than you.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson is that away from being the homeless guy you pass on the street in terms of value. It's like, why am I trading for this guy? I could be traded for Penthouse McGee.
Yeah, I think we all agree. Maybe not. I think Jake was even on our side there. We'd all rather give up Allen Robinson plus the 3 for Wan'Dale.
I wasn't gonna add, but
I would.
Jeez.
But all that to be saying, like, how attractive is the top receiving option on the Giants actually going to be? I don't know.
I mean, you gotta look at this team and say the offense is scheme-wise significantly better, and this is just my Giants fan talking. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, let's hear it.
the offensive scheme looks significantly better than it has the past years with Judge and whoever was before him. I can't even remember.
McAdoo.
The guy that was. No, there was a guy between them.
Oh.
The Vikings. What was his name? Anyways,
I don't remember.
It was me.
This team looks good, and I think they finally got the coach right with Daboll here, and I think you gotta think this offense or this team is going to move away from Daniel Jones. The whole team looks like it's taking a step in the right direction. And what they're missing, their offensive line looks better. Their defense looks pretty good. They're missing a quarterback, and they're gonna have to go out and. Andrew Thomas was like the top-rated tackle this week of all tackles.
Mac Jones still got sacked like 6 times.
I heard.
Wasn't Daniel Jones pressured on like 22 of 33 dropbacks?
Yeah, he got sacked like 6 times.
Daniel Jones does play a part in that in terms of he holds the ball for too long. So that's not just all on the O-line, but the O-line needs work as well. I think Andrew Thomas is a stud. I think he's a beast, but I'm talking about the rest of it.
I think that the fucking receivers need work. If we're going to pinpoint any problem on this team, Daniel Jones to me has played fine. Yeah, he's not Aaron Rodgers, but he's fine. If Daniel Jones is throwing to an actually decent receiver, I don't think he's the one stopping them from being a top 24 fantasy finishing player.
I just think like looking at the Giants too and how they've already started off 2-0. Now they're 2-1. I'm just like, I'm not sure they're going to be in a high enough spot to draft that replacement quarterback. And then who are you getting out in free agency? Who are you getting through trade or anything? Like
Justin Fields.
Oh, stop it! They could have had they traded that pick.
Yeah, they didn't want Justin.
I know, but now you can get him at way cheaper value.
I just don't think they're going to be able to.
So is anyone here going out and just mass offering for Wandale in all their leagues? I want to see it happen right now.
I'm going to plant my flag on this now to remember later in the season. Wandale Robinson is 2 spots ahead of Kadarius Toney in receiver rankings. I think Toney is the smarter buy than Wandale. Since they're pretty similar value, I'll say equal right now.
Who would have thought Lounis likes Toney? No fucking way.
We're doing a second.
I like the guy who looks good when he gets snaps in the NFL.
When Parsons the Giants had huge issues.
I mean, Parsons, that's the defensive player of the year. Like, yeah, fine.
Oh, Parsons is going to give every team issues.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that.
They gave the Bengals issues.
Yeah.
All right, I mean, we could start off with get out of take lock, and because we already kind of touched on Allen Robinson.
Some take lock.
Yeah. I mean, let's just finish up the Allen Robinson thing real quick. I don't know if we're a consensus here. I'm at the point where if I can get a third for him, I'm pretty happy. I think he's done. What is it? I think he's done. I think Van Jefferson's going to come back. He'll be better than him. I wouldn't be surprised at all. And actually, before we were talking about a pre-pod, I think there's a decent chance they sign Odell when he's fully recovered from his ACL injury, similar to what they did at the end of last season. He knows the offense. He knows all locker room guys. I think Odell's going to come back because unless you guys think he's just going to stay unsigned, like what other team? Maybe Green Bay.
Dude, I think it's coming sooner than that. I think Van Jefferson comes back and is the number 2 target on this team.
I agree. I think he'll do that, but then I think it's also going to be. I think that Allen Robinson contract is going to look terrible. It already does look bad.
Did they give
by
him?
the time
Did
this
they give him what?
Way too much.
It was a pretty big contract.
Whatever it is, it's too much because this dude's getting outplayed by Skowronek.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to read some trades that have occurred with Allen Robinson. You guys just give me
okay,
quick
Jake.
yes or no.
Real quick. Was this last offseason? Allen Robinson signed a 3-year, $46.5 million contract with the Rams with $31 million guaranteed. Yeah, that's that is.
It's not.
That's a lot of guaranteed cash, bro.
It's a lot.
What?
He's a dude. I think I honestly, I want nothing to do with him. I wanted nothing to do with him
for that
for like the past 2 years.
It's
but
under 15.
I'm with Lounis. I'm mass
41.
offering this guy off my team.
All right, you guys ready?
Oh, I don't disagree with that, but I don't think
that contract is a terrible contract.
Quick yes or no's. Would you trade out? Would you be the side that trades Allen Robinson away in these?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yes.
Allen Robinson and 23 first for Keenan Allen and 23 second.
Yeah. Sure.
I
don't want to do that.
No, because I'm not trading the first.
I don't want to trade the first.
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with Allen Robinson.
Okay. I'll break it down closer. Allen Robinson and 24. No, we'll do a closer one. Allen Robinson for Curtis Samuel.
Oh, easy take Curtis Samuel. It's not close.
Allen Robinson, Tony Pollard.
Take Pollard. Easy. Not close.
Allen Robinson and a third for Ayuk. 23 third.
Easy.
Ayuk.
Allen Robinson for Antonio Gibson. Straight.
Easy.
Gibson.
I
can't believe he still has this much value.
Oh my God, I smashed this one. This is a player I was going to bring up that I trade 1-for-1, but Allen Robinson for Calvin Ridley and a 23 second.
23. I'd give Allen Robinson and the second for Calvin Ridley.
I would trade Allen Robinson. I would trade Allen Robinson for Calvin Ridley straight easily. That's what I was going to bring up because they're valued like equal on keep trade cut. No, I don't think you're losing out on that many points this year by trading away.
Yeah, so he still has value.
That's
trade him.
Yeah, these are also all trades, by the way, that have occurred since Sunday. So.
Since Sunday, I assume some of these are maybe like right after like he scored the touchdown 2 weeks ago. That's absurd.
Okay, all right. So we are off of Allen Robinson.
We can move off Allen.
Now here's one that all media has been talking about.
My MVP.
Yeah, it's probably how they're leading off shows. If not, it's one of the top segments. Jalen Hurts MVP conversation. I think Jake, you put this on for your take clock.
Yeah, I put this on for my take lock. I was out there saying I don't believe in Jalen Hurts. I think he's a good locker room guy and a good college quarterback, but I never thought I'd see what he's doing in the NFL. He's making teams look silly out there. He's running, he's passing. He's got AJ Brown, Devontae Smith putting up, top 25 numbers. Even Goddard's having a good year. He's just forcing me to change my take on him. He clearly deserves to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, and I hate to say that because he's just destroying the NFC East right now. The guy's been incredible, and I would go out there and buy him for what? What's the price? Probably more than 2 firsts.
Yeah, Kyler Murray straight up for him.
What's that?
Kyler Murray straight up for Jalen Hurts.
At this point, I would take Jalen Hurts just because I don't like what I see out of Kyler.
Because that's probably the price that you have to do for Jalen Hurts.
It's around similar, especially with how both players are trending this season.
It's Kyler plus right now for Jalen.
I know, but
it is.
Keep trade cuts a little bit overreactive. I want to pull up the recent Jalen Hurts trades.
Okay,
I think that's going to give us a good idea.
I'll try and keep it as much.
Because kind of going off Jake, I think the biggest fear with Jalen Hurts is everyone knew he was a fantasy monster, but the biggest fear was always, he might be replaced in a season, and then
right. That was always the fear with him in Dynasty was that not that what he was going to do week to week, but what he was going to do long term if he was still going to be the starting quarterback. Because he wasn't a first round pick as a quarterback, so most of those guys don't start for a long time. And on top of that, like he was always using his legs more than his arm. And at some point people were going to just say, make this guy pass. And now he's passing and making him, look
that's
silly.
The biggest problem or the biggest difference is that
he's
putting up 300 a game.
Substantially different. He already has as many 300-yard passing games this season as he did all of last year in his career up until this year.
And honestly, it reminds me a lot of Josh Allen. Like his first 2 years, he was running a lot and not being very accurate with the ball. And then all of a sudden he gets Stephon Diggs and he looks a whole lot different. Now this offense adds AJ Brown in and he looks a whole lot different. I have nothing bad to say about Jalen Hurts as much as I want to.
Dude, him and Tua, man. The steps they've taken this year.
So the price has probably only gone up since since Jalen Hurts is such a highly valued player, definitely a lot less trades. But I'll try and get you everything that's happened since week 2, since after the week 2 games. Yeah. So we've got Jalen Hurts for Trey Lance, a first and a second, a 23 first, 24 second. Jalen Hurts and Christian Watson for Jonathan Taylor. Jalen Hurts for Jimmy G and 2 2023 firsts.
That's an interesting trade.
Interesting. Okay.
Jalen Hurts.
I think it depends on what those firsts are.
Jalen Hurts for Trey Lance and Zach Wilson. And then that's really all. We have one that's kind of Jalen Hurts for Dak Prescott, CH, and Cooper Rush. It's only other. Oh, and Jalen Hurts for Matt Stafford, 23 first and 23 second.
I think the thing is, if you have Jalen Hurts, you're just not going to trade him because of the fantasy numbers and the offense that he's on. But if you are going to trade him, I would not make this I'm going to sell Jalen Hurts in one move, and then I'm done. It's going to be the move that solves all my problems. You sell him. I'm looking for as many draft picks as humanly possible, as many firsts as humanly possible. And then if I'm a contender and I need to replenish my quarterback, then I'm going to go into my quarterback I'll trade for. So like that trade, Trey Lance and Zach Wilson, I'm not really sure right now that Trey Lance and Zach, because that was after both of their bad news is hit, after the Trey Lance injury, Zach Wilson just hasn't really played, but his injury as well, I guess. I think from a pure value perspective, you can get way more than that package of quarterbacks, trading Jalen Hurts for a pure value move and then just trading for that quarterback separately.
I actually completely agree with you in terms of just trying to get as many draft picks as possible. Because I think real quick with him, like we see the Trey Lance Zach Wilson trade, and while I do believe in both those guys' talents, and I think in certain situations it's completely fair to like consider it or even accept that trade. One, it's the list you read, JT, just speaks to me on how much Trey Lance's value has fallen, which is crazy. Like to the extent
also in terms of risk, though.
But that's what I was going to say. Those are two huge question marks for a quarterback who looks like he's going to be the starter for a while and is averaging like 25 plus.
You should be getting top 6 quarterback money for him, quarterback price.
Okay, so that's more so the question on this. What's the actual going price? Like, what would you be willing to trade for Jalen Hurts? How high would you be willing to trade? And it sounds like that's it.
He's a back half QB1.
Would you guys give up 2? I'm going to quote him again. I think this is Jacob Sanderson who came up with the 20th, the base first is what it's called, where it's essentially, it's most likely going to be like, the pick will be anywhere from pick 1 through 12, right? It could literally land anywhere. But the median is obviously going to be 6, but you have the high upside or whatever. Would you trade 2 2023 base first and 2023 base second for Jalen Hurts straight?
I mean, the thing is, it can't be if it's a true, the pick can land from 1 to 12, maybe it's different, but because I'm giving him potentially the QB1, I can't factor that in at all. Like, I think a better way to handle it is, what about the startup theory? I can trade both my 23 firsts and or 23-24 firsts, 23-24 seconds, and get the pick for Jalen Hurts. So those first
2 firsts, 2 seconds?
Yeah, so it's still a startup, right? They could fuck up the startup, but they're getting a Jalen Hurts for all future picks.
Jalen Hurts.
I would decline that and take Jalen Hurts with the pick.
Oh, I think I'd take the picks. Assuming 12-team league, I would take.
Because I'm assuming if someone's trading for Jalen Hurts too in that scenario, like they're not going to be like a tanking. Oh, maybe, obviously, maybe.
But they could fuck up the startup, right? That's always a potential thing, right?
But they're starting off with 2 first-round picks. Like they're
exactly. You're projecting it probably late, but it's not 3 years, 4 years after the startup where the lines have been really established.
Yeah,
maybe I would take that. That's fucking tough.
What we've all right, I think we have a good spot for him then, though, if that's what we're saying. But he's shot up from he was 5,400 come August. He was even lower than that. He was like right around the draft time. He was 4,900 before they traded for AJ Brown. So in a year, you've gained over 3,000 points of value, which I know it's not going to, like, 4,000 to 8,000 is doing more than doubling your value in the land of cut. That's going.
I think he's more so tripled his value.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of the reaction, I do wonder where he kind of falls amongst, like, you have like the top 4 elite tier with obviously Mahomes, no order, Allen, Lamar, and Herbert. And then you kind of have that second group with like Burrow, Hurts, Kyler, We see Tua getting into that tier. Even.
Trevor Lawrence now.
Let's go.
Let's
go.
Trevor Lawrence. Oh, Trevor Lawrence is definitely in that tier.
He's definitely in that second tier. And
I wouldn't put Tua there.
That tier is still valued as a low-end QB1, though. You're not looking at that and being like, oh, well, this is my Joe Burrow. He's my QB2. No, he's a low-value QB1. He's just in that middle pack of the startup. I think the problem I'm having with this, though, is that it's almost...
Deshaun should be in there, yeah.
Because you're right. He is in that tier. I think that 2 firsts and 2 seconds shouldn't get you a player in that tier. If you offered that to me for Kyler, I'm not going to take it. I would rather have Kyler if I'm in a standard startup environment, right? Just because I like Kyler more than
in those 2 seconds.
Yeah, just because I like Kyler more than Hurts, and I'm not sure I would value Hurts as a top 6 pick. I might rather have these picks than Hurts if that was my only choice. But in terms of value, I don't think this is a good move. I just think I could get more for Hurts.
We'll have to check back in like a week or two when we see more trades that go on with Jalen Hurts.
And I do want to say, just in general, like if you're thinking about selling Jalen Hurts, unless you're like really, really in a rush to trade him, I think waiting like is only going to kind of increase it. I don't know if you guys if anyone who has him has looked ahead of their schedule. Their schedule is the easiest football schedule I've ever seen in my life.
They got a nasty fucking team.
They're legit. What is it? Legit. Their home game against the Jaguars this week might be their second hardest game for the rest of the season. It's going to be like their second or third hardest game.
They play the Cowboys.
I'm a Jags believer.
What's the major difference between selling them at QB6 and QB3?
Because if the Eagles take advantage of the easiest ass schedule and end up with a 1 or 2 seed in an NFC conference that's super weak, that's only going to increase his value.
We saw it with Burrow, where Burrow went to the Super Bowl and he hopped up to QB3.
Yeah, if you have more team success, your value is going to go, especially as a quarterback.
You really think he's going to go up to like Herbert value?
Maybe not Herbert.
I honestly
think he's going to go up.
I think he could pass Herbert with his rushing upside.
I think there's a chance we see him as QB3 come the end of the season.
I think
if he's the long-term starter.
Maybe he does Lamar and he's just like, it's Mahomes 1 or whoever the de facto, you're the best pocket passing guy who got 50 touchdowns. And then he's QB2.
Yeah, the tough thing for Jalen Hurts is Lamar is putting up.
I was gonna say I don't think he's gonna pass Lamar because Lamar is pretty much like a better Jalen Hurts, but
Lamar is a better Jalen Hurts.
So are you guys declining or accepting the 2 firsts, 2 seconds startup scenario?
In a startup,
I think I'm declining.
I'm gonna decline.
I need to know where those picks are. I need to know they're at least middle of the round first.
Well,
it's a startup.
Yeah, it's a startup.
Because I don't know, the 2023 draft class picks where it could be anywhere 1 through 12, maybe you can. But if it's just a random like startup 23 and 24, 23, 24.
The thing is, I take those picks and I just trade them for Deshaun. And I just get Deshaun.
That's fair. Deshaun's gonna be interesting.
I wouldn't have to give up all those picks to get Deshaun.
No, you wouldn't. It'd be much cheaper.
Yeah, I think with the way that you guys are talking about it, the more I think about it, I would just decline and hope I get more.
All right. Yeah. It's a lot of time on Jalen Hurts, though.
I mean, he's been a relevant fantasy player.
That's true. Right. That's true. He's literally in the MVP conversation. I'll make this one quick because I think we kind of talked about this last week, and I'm going to combine 2 players here. So again, this segment's getting out of take lock. We're pivoting on what we thought, what our priors were compared to now, what we changed on, and I was saying CeeDee Lamb. He was ranked around wide receiver 3 on Keep Trade Cut, maybe wide receiver 4. I was always saying he was a screaming sell. Meanwhile, Rashod Bateman, he was in like the wide receiver 20s. Maybe he was cracking into the teens. I don't necessarily think so, but Rashod Bateman was up there, and I was saying he's a screaming buy. Now that we're 3 weeks into the season, I wouldn't say Rashod Bateman is a screaming sell, but I would definitely be selling Rashod Bateman, and I would be buying CeeDee Lamb. I've flip-flopped completely on that. And the reason is, yes, Lounis?
No, keep going.
Okay. The reason being is Rashod Bateman is still competing with Devin Duvernay for targets. Now, you could blame Greg Roman and this Ravens offense. I'm not sure, but why I know and what people have screamed at me and what I've seen enough data to believe at this point is good players earn targets. Now, I think Rashod Bateman is a good player, and he is earning a decent target share, but he's more so around the 22% target share kind of player on a passing attack that's looking like it's rounding off to be about a middle of the road kind of passing team.
There'll be a high number of touchdowns, middle of the road yards wise, but there'll be a high number of touchdowns.
Touchdowns aren't sustainable. It's hard to, especially when you have someone like Mark Andrews there, who is very good in the red zone. He's just shaping up to be your perennial wide receiver 2. He's going to be like the DJ Moore kind of player of 3 years ago. We're going to see probably very similar 1,000 yards, maybe a handful of 4 or 5 touchdowns from Rashod Bateman. That's what it's lining up to be. Whereas CeeDee Lamb, he's gotten destroyed because like Dak got hurt. He had a bad first game. We have people like Amon-Ra going nuclear. But CeeDee Lamb's been holding, I think I sent in the tweet. It was something like 28% target share, 31% target share, 40% target share as of yesterday. We're recording on Tuesday, Monday night game against the Giants. CeeDee Lamb is getting that crazy target share that everyone thought he might get when Amari Cooper left. I just thought that was all going to be a fallacy. Amari Cooper's gone. Now I get Michael Gallup's coming back, and Michael Gallup is going to get some of this target share. But if CeeDee Lamb is around that 30%, even high 20s, that's a crazy target share to have. That is an elite wide receiver 1. And CeeDee Lamb's keep trade cut price has tanked. He's like wide receiver 13, 14. He's dropped like 2,500.
He dropped to 16 at one point. It was absurd.
Yeah, tanked. Whereas, so I know CeeDee Lamb just had a very good game, even with the drop pass that was like a very easy touchdown. I still would be buying on this. I would buy CeeDee Lamb on the site.
I do think the time to buy him was when you bought him after the week 2 game, but I do still think actually there's time because I agree. I think he's about to explode. I still view him as a top 5 dynasty receiver. I think the target share is encouraging, and people are like bring up when people say like, oh, when Dak comes back, it's really gonna set off for CeeDee Lamb. People are like, oh, what about week 1? The Tampa Bay defense has been absurd. Through 3 weeks, they're number 1 defense in yards allowed and in points allowed. They're a high-level elite defense. So I'm not, and literally they just only focused on CD in terms of their secondary. Like no one's sweating over Noah Brown too much. So I think that's an unfair assessment to like judge the Dak and CD combo off of one game. I'm with you. I still think there is time to buy him before his price goes up even more so. I think it obviously now depends on the price we're talking about. I'm not sure what his ranking is now after the Monday night game. He's still a wide receiver 12. Like he's behind someone like Pittman. Would I rather have Pittman over CD? No. Obviously Amon-Ra I'm taking not ahead of CD. There are a few guys ahead of him that I still like CD more than.
His value is all over the place too. Looking at keep trade cut, we got CD for George Pickens straight.
That's crazy.
CD plus Joe Flacco for Michael Pittman. CD plus Zamir White for J.K. Dobbins. A lot of CD for Amon-Ra straight. Actually, that's a common trade I'm seeing happen. CD for Jalen Waddle. CD for Sutton in a second. CD for
Waddle might have passed CD. Waddle might have passed CD.
Might have.
That's what I'm saying. His value is all over the place. It's all over the place.
Waddle special.
Who knows? Who knows how the CD Lamb roster, whatever, feels about him.
But to your point about Bateman, earlier, I agree with you. I think he's arguably the easiest sell in Dynasty. Especially
easiest sell.
Yeah, I mean, unless you want to argue CEH. If you want to argue CEH, go ahead. Bateman, I can like just on keep, and again, it is keep trade cut. It's very volatile. I can find 12 receivers after him that I'd rather take over Bateman.
I think there is enough warning flags around Bateman because of the lack of targets, and even more so, the fact that he's not one of those guys that's just on the field every play. Yeah. The Ravens really are mixing up their personnel groupings, and it seems, I mean, there's only going to be more cavalry coming once these running backs get healthy. Potentially bringing in other receivers, because I got the impression watching that Jets game that the Ravens might need help at the receiver position. And that might be one of
I was gonna say I definitely expect them to bring one in next offseason, whether it be the draft or free agency.
Which is crazy
I don't know why
to say
they don't sign Will Fuller. Like Will Fuller would do a lot for this.
There's definitely something. There's something with Will Fuller. His medical is just something.
But I mean, it's funny because I feel like I started to believe into the Bateman hype at the very end of the offseason. And then now it's just like, okay, I guess I'm back to my OG Bateman takes. Like
probably because I was hammering it home a bunch. I will say though, if you follow me and you grab Bateman before the offseason, you're probably liking where he is currently ranked. Like he's definitely increased in value. I just think now is a great time to pivot off that.
Yeah, I agree. I think his value is a little higher than I would realistically like on Keep Trade Cut. I would feel differently if maybe he was at the Ayuk price, somewhere around there. I just feel like the consensus is a little bit higher on Bateman than Ayuk.
All right, who wants to go next?
Well, we were talking about Waddle. I mean, I'll quickly talk about Waddle because I definitely valued him in that Devontae Smith, Terry McLaurin tier of receivers. DJ Moore was in there in the beginning of the season, and not in that AJ Brown, DK Metcalf tier of, okay, great young, will produce at wide receiver one levels. I mean, Waddle has shown it. He's in that upper tier. Yeah, he's in that upper tier. He's young. Yeah. He's on a good offense. That offense is seemingly the offense this year that's going to change the game, quote unquote, right? It seems like there's one every season. Mike McDaniel seems to be that dude. And even more so is the value of receivers in general. And this is mainly stemming off of that point of emphasis. I think that it was actually an added rule of you are literally not allowed to touch receivers beyond 5 yards, right? They said that they were going to make the illegal contact more enforced. They didn't just mean it. They took that and like shot it with meth 90,000 times because God forbid you sniff a receiver, it's illegal contact. Dude, I think this is one of the major reasons why we're seeing a bunch of receivers just go nuclear to start the season. Some of these passing attacks go nuclear, and I'm afraid that's not going to stop. So I am hardcore pivoting off of my earlier judgments of and my earlier evaluations of in half-point PPR and maybe even standard, the running back premium. I'm not sure that's going to exist anymore.
No, especially I'm sure you've seen some of the tweets, like some of the highest scores. Like if you took like the top 15 highest points per game between wide receivers and running backs, how many of those are wide receivers? I don't have the exact, but it's like the heavy majority of them are receivers, where they've just been severely outscoring the running backs. Waddle, man, I liked him coming out of college a ton. And actually coming into the draft, I remember I think Jake was the same way with like Waddle over Smith. It was always close between them two. I was like worried about him this year with Tyreek Hill coming in as the number one. Like how would Waddle be as a two? Both of them have been going off. I think the offense fits them perfectly. I think he's in that. I view him as a top 5 dynasty receiver. I told you guys, I said CD2. I think it's probably CD. I think it's probably like Waddle, CD, then AJ Brown. That's probably my top 5 currently, but I think he's right up there with them.
What about a guy like a Waddle compared to a Jonathan Taylor or compared to a Javonte Williams? Maybe that's a little bit too much of a jump, right?
But I don't think so. Honestly,
I kind of want to get back to this value of wide receivers thing. Guys like the Waddles of the world, AJ Brown, are you just going to start taking these dudes now over some of these higher, similar tier running backs, right? Not the number one, but that 2 to 8. Maybe?
No, I that's where I think that's specification was important, because I think if you have a generational running back, especially let's just say like a rookie class, right? You have like a generational running back this upcoming class. Bijan Robinson is the only one that I'm drafting over some of those receivers. I think now with like the trends that we've seen, Bijan Robinson, if you want to take him, top 3, whatever it may be. What?
Robert Miller always drops in these good ones.
Yeah.
Shout out. The NFL is more concerned with defensive players touching wide receivers than you can guess who he's joking about next.
But after that, I think like I don't know, like even just look at that draft class. Like, how are you taking Javonte over guys like Waddle at all? Where like Javonte was going so many picks higher.
My bigger problem.
Or even are you taking Najee over Waddle?
Oh no way. Well, you know how I feel about Najee. But the thing is, I just have a harder time holding that high tier value in running backs than wide receivers. Like it's hard for me to have those top tier running backs, not named maybe Christian McCaffrey, who's game breaking when healthy. It's just hard for me to keep those guys over, say, the likes of AJ Brown. I don't know if Waddle's still kind of on that edge for me though, where I really like Waddle, but
what else does the guy have to do?
We're putting him in wide receiver 3 conversation is my problem.
It's more than that.
He's in that conversation.
He's in my top 10.
I'm not saying he 100% is, but he's definitely in that conversation.
He's not AJ Brown. AJ Brown's solidified wide receiver 3 for me.
But what about him over Swift?
I think give me that look as if AJ Brown hasn't like completely.
No, AJ Brown's been going. AJ Brown's
no, AJ Brown. No, AJ Brown's great. Nothing bad to say about AJ Brown, but I think they're right.
I think they're 3 and 4 in whatever order.
Yeah,
I think they're dynasty.
Yeah, but screw the wide receiver rankings. What about Swift and Saquon?
I'd rather just Waddle. I think
and Breece Hall compared to all those receivers. Waddle, AJ Brown, like.
Give me all wide receivers.
Yeah, I might be starting to lean that way, and that's why I wanted to talk about this, because this could potentially be a huge value shift in wide receivers because of this rule that they implemented and the continued trend of more passing attacks, and as of right now, the inconsistency of running backs. Is that even going to continue? Do we think these running backs are going to turn it around, some of these top ones?
It seems like the 3rd and 20 cycle of life. We've now hit the 0 RB.
No, okay, so this wasn't.
I don't even want to do 0 RB.
This was literally the point I was going to bring up, because I saw debates on fantasy Twitter about this when they showed how badly the receivers, like the top receivers, are outscoring the top running backs. People were like, "Oh, 0 RB's never been more like." Proven correctly, but then some people are like, no, if anything, it proves that like you need to get one of those like top tier elite running backs because everyone else is so.
But I mean,
I lean on the side of the receivers.
It's the wasteland tight end theory applied to running
backs.
But from a redraft perspective, if we're looking at redraft perspective, the top running backs this year were Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry. I think Joe Mixon came next. Najee was up there.
Najee.
Only one. Like none of them. There's only like 1 or 2 of those that are having a good season so far. That are having like
none of them.
So, really. So if you spent those draft picks on those players, you're not having a good time currently.
Yeah, but I think what's even more important though is that the argument against the receivers was, I can get a similarly scoring receiver in the 6th round as I can the 2nd round, if we want to keep it at the redraft narrative. A similar thing in Dynasty, I could go out and my Tyler Lockett is going to score a roughly similar points per game within 3 to a guy like
DJ
I don't know, DK maybe. Right, whoever, one of those highly valued receivers, but they're not the top 3 in scoring, right? Because it's usually the top 3 go nuclear, and then everyone else is like a little bit better than the average, right? The average good player. Now we are seeing the upside that only like the running backs, not necessarily the only that the running backs had, but it was more likely that more running backs had that top tier upside. The guys that in half PPR were going to score 240 plus points. There was just usually more running backs doing that than receivers. If that trend has stopped and now receivers are just on average outscoring running backs, then I think that argument that, I can pick up my late round receiver and score enough points is no longer valid. I think that's what's more important, is that if these receivers, these top tier dogs, are just going to get a shit fuck of targets, and your Cole Beasley's in the flex spots ain't doing crap anymore, then we have to be all in on these receivers.
No, I agree. And especially, I think now we see with some of them, like, I think the receivers are sustaining being able to still have a good game when their offense is shit better than running backs are.
Look at the fucking Bills. They just pass every play.
Yeah. And I mean, examples like, for an example, we'll take Waddle and, Jonathan Taylor. The Dolphins' offense, even though it was a great win against Buffalo, their offense was not good on Sunday. I think Tua only had like 186 passing yards. Again, by the way, this is like the toughest team in the league to play against. Buffalo's blown out their first two opponents. And Waddle still gave you 4 for 110? I think it was. Something like that.
I think it was versus 6 for 110, but yeah.
Yeah, and then you look at games where the running backs offense isn't playing well. Like, what was Jonathan Taylor's line against Jacksonville? Or even just this season in general, where the Colts have kind of looked underwhelming.
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of game script where you just go, all right, it's garbage time. I'm getting blown out. I'm going to fucking pass the ball. Like, that's just how the game script goes, where it leads these receivers to, if the game's going well, the team's going to pass. If the team's is behind, they're still going to pass. Well, if you're a running back, you might not run the ball as much if you're down 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, and I think it's also just more, by the year, there's less and less workworkhorses.
Well, yeah, that's kind of part of it, right? The tier 1 running backs are still tier 1 running backs if they're good enough and get the volume.
Yes, but I think the issue is that you're now seeing the tier 2 guys, the likes of DeAndre Swift, being completely vultured, and even not even vultured. Just Jamal Williams is playing well, earning his carries. Like, nothing against DeAndre Swift. He's been good to start the year. Obviously, minus this week. Jamal Williams has, earned his role, and I think there's a lot of other backfields where you see the same thing. Whereas Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon, he's earned a role. He's a vet, and he's still putting up good numbers. Like, so
Mike Boone was getting snaps. That's what I think.
That's a good point.
What is it? I saw Javonte got 14 more snaps. I think it was 14 or 11 than Mike Boone. I think the thing is I have more faith in a number 1 receiver producing every single game throughout the season than a number 1 running back. I think the number 1 running back, you're going to get games where it's just duds. Like, even I don't know, we see Jonathan Taylor, we see CMC, Aaron Jones last week went from 40 points week 1 to 2 points week 2. Like, the running backs, it's not as consistent versus if you get a number 1 receiver, if you got Cooper Kupp or if you got a Waddle or AJ Brown, those guys have produced for you really well every single week.
I do struggle though with how sustainable that's going to be so far. Because I mean, Cooper Kupp was wide receiver 1 last year. He had, was it the Triple Crown? Did they call it?
Yeah, the Triple Crown.
Yeah, the Triple Crown. The Triple Crown. He was averaging a little over 20 fantasy points a game. I forget if that's half PPR or what, but whatever. Keeping the same stats and the same scoring that I'm looking at, we have 4 wide receivers that are currently averaging over that pace right now. I don't know how sustainable that actually is.
No, I do think some of the quarterback absurd numbers will slow down a little bit as every defense now, as we get more into the season, has film on opposing passing offenses, and teams will have to rely on the run a little bit more. But I don't think it's going to be enough to the point the shift we're seeing kind of in the NFL. I just think a big part of it is just NFL teams preferring not to just have one main guy anymore. It's rare. We see DeAndre Swift is one of the most talented running backs in football. He's a top 7 running back talent in football.
He can't stay healthy though.
I mean, he can't stay healthy, but even before then, weeks 1 and 2, he was healthy.
Yeah, but I think you're almost having a different argument, right? Because if there is a bell cow running back that is nasty, let's take Christian McCaffrey from 2 years ago. That scenario exists. That dude is still going to be a super sought after. It's all points, right? It's all fucking
Prime
points.
McCaffrey's like a unicorn.
And those are going to pop out every once in a while. There's going to be nasty running backs. Bijan is one of them.
I think a realistic comparison. Let's say Najee Harris. He's a top 5.
No, we're not saying Najee Harris. I'm saying Bijan fucking Robinson.
Okay, Bijan Robinson.
Go ahead. Is coming out here. He's walking through the fucking the stairs up the draft. He's ready to put up the jersey. He just got picked in the first round, right? He's the new Saquon, whatever. Are you taking Waddle over him?
No.
I might.
No.
I consider it.
I mean, listen, it's to trade Waddle, you're gonna need a high end pick.
I'd
like,
consider
straight
it.
up one pick for Waddle, like that's gonna be a high pick.
But if you're putting me in a startup, say we've teleported to 2023.
Yeah, like Jake, say the
right
person
now,
at 102 post draft,
right
and he offered you straight up Bijan.
Yeah, I'm taking
Waddle.
Bijan.
I don't know.
The longevity of the wide receivers plays a role in this thought, though.
Yeah, but he's not Bijan. I know we're going to fall. We're going to devolve into
Waddle isn't Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, but this is where it devolves into, and kind of what you were saying earlier. But I think this is a good example of portraying it. What I expect Bijan to be, my points over replacement from Bijan Robinson to that next guy that I'm getting in the second round, as far as dynasty value is concerned. The second round running backs, I don't care about them. I don't know who it's going to be in 6 months, 8 months, whenever Bijan Robinson can be drafted. But it's just from Bijan to Bijan minus X, and from Waddle to Waddle minus X. I just think you're better going Bijan and Waddle minus X versus Waddle and Bijan minus X, to give you a whole math formula there. I
lost.
He likes the difference.
No,
you're better off.
I understand what you're saying.
Bijan and the replacement running back versus Waddle versus the replacement receiver.
Yeah, the value over replacement. JT's bringing out the VORP.
Because I used to agree with you with JT, but the whole crux of this segment is that if that new rule is the trend and people just keep passing the ball more, what is happening right now, yes, it may be unsustainable, but that doesn't mean that it can't be more than it was before.
But it's a difficult example with Waddle, though. Whereas if it was Justin Jefferson, it might be a different story. I think Waddle, he's going to be in that same offense with Tyreek Hill. Yes, they're both going to produce a bunch, but like you do at some point are going to have capped ceilings on both of them, where I think it's probably not that 20 points per game that we're actually seeing currently from Waddle.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up.
18 points per game.
I wanted to bring that up because we all kind of initially agreed that if we're given a tier 2 wide receiver and a tier 2 running back nowadays in half-point PPR, that there is no running back boost, that doesn't exist anymore because of the recent trends of the NFL, right? Everyone agreed on that.
Yeah.
So now we have to look, that's almost declaring, okay, given 2 equal prospects in equally good scenarios for their position and all the external factors, I just want the fucking receiver. That's kind of what we declared.
Yes, but then that's where you lose me of, is Bijan the same?
Because now I want to take it up a level. What if we take a tier 2 receiver compared to a tier 1 running back? Because Lounis started going in about Christian McCaffrey and shit, and it's like, well, hold on. Now we're bringing in tier 1 running backs.
Look at the tier 1 running backs this season. And here's one thing I'll say.
This season is not necessarily. We're taking a 3-game sample size versus like 10 plus years of seasons,
and that's fair. But no, I do think it's also a trend in the NFL. I'm gonna try to word this correctly because it's probably gonna come out sounding pretty stupid.
Everyone.
I think in general, like just with like I don't know, like different like athletes coming in, the rule changes to the game. You talked about the illegal contact. I think receivers are gaining edges on the corners, and like passing attacks are getting edges, and I think D lines and pass rushes are getting edges on offensive linemen. I feel like 80% of the league has a bad offensive line. Like I've seen like their fans complain. I know it's worded that weird.
That's actually true.
I think just receivers are kind of getting an advantage in that sense, where it's like it's not as hard as it used to be to have a pretty good passing attack and support fantasy receivers versus like how many teams now. It's like before it was like, oh, like these particular teams are all lines like that. No, I know.
Lounis, the Eagles fan with Jalen Hurts, just like, hey, it's not that hard to have a passing attack. Look at us. We got Jalen
Hurts. They're Bears fans and Commanders fans and all these other people that have Panthers fans.
Even the Commanders.
The Bears like, we can't even complete a fucking pass, bro. What are you talking about?
No, but even the Commanders, Wentz was like third in the NFL in passing yards through
it was 2 weeks against some
2 weeks,
suspect defense.
But no, I worded that I didn't know how I wanted to word that.
No, I pick up what you're saying. That there's just teams are gaining more edge in the passing attack than the running attack. That's a consensus fucking Lounis take if I've ever heard.
Yeah, I think you might be right there.
Nostradamus over here.
The edge
figuring out that teams are passing the ball more than running
it. I've noticed a shift in the paradigm of the NFL.
But yeah, I mean, that's why I wanted to bring up. I mean, do we want to get it? I think this old wide receivers one, do we want to save this for next episode? Because I have a good feeling that I'm going to go off for 10 minutes about that.
All right, then sure, we'll save it.
we can save the old wide receivers.
I think we could skip out on Chris Olave. I think
even though
the one guy that liked him.
Quick comment on Olave. Man, has he impressed me. I am way higher on him now.
I don't know if he's he's impressed me from where I had him before. Certainly, he's not made it to
the
targets, the air
yards.
Weren't
the Saints kind of garbage time Gary's last week, though?
Yeah, it was. He's looked better than I thought he would look, but I don't think he's insane like some people are writing him off to be now currently.
I think I have him
good, not great.
I definitely don't have him in my top 3 rookie wide receivers. Probably not top 4.
All right, then you're not.
And I'd probably have him around 5, but even that 5th spot, say even if I had him at 5th before, it's a higher value now. I just think all of those rookie receivers have increased their values.
Who wants to give one last take for get out of take lock? Pick whoever has the juiciest juicer. Just say it.
Oh well, let's go with the Fields and Darnell Mooney.
That's a good one.
Lounis combined one here. It's just I've said it before. I had Justin Fields closer to Trevor Lawrence when they were coming out, where Trevor Lawrence was 1 and Fields was 2, and he was closer to 1 than he was to 3. And I think it's a sinking ship, and we gotta get out now. There's no point in holding Fields at this point, because what I think we're gonna see is, I know this team's 2-1, but Justin Fields has 10 more pass attempts than Trey Lance, and Trey Lance has been out for basically 2 games. And Trey Lance is not Trey Lance is not who we're pointing towards to say oh, look at this guy, he passes the ball a lot. He didn't pass it that much in college. The Bears are hiding Justin Fields, which just tells me he's probably not good. Justin Herbert got thrown into a game because Tyrod Taylor got stabbed in the chest against the Chiefs, and he looked amazing with no support or anything. That's who I didn't think he was going to be Justin Herbert level, but I thought he was going to be very good. He's not. He's just not. Yeah.
Okay, what's the price point that you would mass offer both of these players out for?
Okay, so
Darnell Mooney, I was never
different prices.
Yeah.
Okay, no, the thing is, if you obviously it's drastic, but you have them both on your dynasty team or maybe on 2 separate ones. Give me an offer that I'm going to send to every league mate.
Here's the thing. I'd be trying to move Justin Fields into other quarterbacks I think have better outlooks, right?
Okay.
I would even move Justin Fields for Zach Wilson. I don't know if you could get that done straight up.
Keep track that he's still ahead of Zach Wilson.
I think you might be able to.
I would move him straight for Zach Wilson. I'd move him for the likes of, I'm looking here, Ryan Tannehill and Malik Willis for Justin Fields. I think I'd do that.
Wait, straight into those guys? Oh,
it's together. Yeah, you're getting the both of them.
Here's an interesting deal. It wouldn't be an early second. Let's just say mid 207 or 206. Fields and a mid second for Lance.
Yeah, I do that.
What about just Fields for a 24 first?
That's what I was gonna say.
Because right now he's slightly below a late 24 first, but it's very similar value.
Hey, you offer it out to 12 people. I mean,
you probably get an offer. If I can get a late 24 first for Justin Fields, am I accepting? Probably, but I think there are other. I like the Lance idea more. I'm hitting up the Lance owner and I'm seeing what it takes on top of Justin Fields. I'm not giving a first on top of Fields to get Lance, but if it takes like if it takes just like a second, I think I'd pull the trigger on that.
What about a 25er?
And I'd also hit up the Zach Wilson.
I like the 25.
Me and Jake are on the same page. I like this.
I like the 25 class more than the 24 class so far. So I think
we got to have a segment on that next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's I mean, because here's the thing, like, even if you don't like how the season goes, like, I feel like at least last year with Fields, it was always like, oh, just wait for Nagy to leave. Like, they're not going to fire their coach after 1 year.
I will say there's a lot of excuses that can be made for Justin Fields, but I just think I don't think it's going to get better.
The coach isn't changing.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get better in terms of where, as far as this year looks. I think he's just going to go further and further south because I mean they're not playing him against he looked bad against.
Bro, Daniel Jones showed significantly more flashes than Justin Fields.
Yeah, where we're going with this is.
Yes, he has.
I'm not giving up on Justin Fields, though. I'm not going to go out and buy him necessarily, but man, I'm starting to get.
I mean, now's the time to buy him.
I'm just
if you believe in him.
I think if Justin Fields like pops off, which I would put at like a 8% chance of happening. Like I just think it's so unlikely he's going to be a crazy valued asset. I would only be slightly upset that I traded him for the likes of Zach Wilson or a first in 2024 or 2025. Like, I'd only be slightly upset because right now it just looks like a sinking ship where you get off for whatever value you can because who knows if this guy is going to be a starting quarterback in 2 years.
You can get good value for Justin Fields. Not crazy.
That's what I'm saying.
You can heading towards that sinking ship. First. Yeah. But yeah, no, I agree. I'm jumping off.
Is it a similar thing for Noah Fant?
Noah Fant is someone that now this is different from my pivot and take lock thing where I thought he was when everyone was having that TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant debate or whatever, who's the better tight end. I always thought it was Noah Fant. Now it turns out the right answer was probably just neither. Like go somewhere else.
They both kind of disappointed
for your value, but I thought Noah Fant was going to be the guy that cracks into that elite tight end. Like he was going to be in that top 5, top 6, whatever, wherever you draw that line of elite tight ends. I thought he was going to be there. At this point, I'm struggling to see how that still happens. Like Will Dissly's out here again, more playing time and everything. I get it takes longer for the tight ends are the ones that take the longest to break out, but I don't know.
Give me a mass offer.
That's the problem. It's just I'd still probably rather have Noah Fant than
24 second.
I probably would just rather have Noah Fant.
I think I'd take the 24 second. If it was like one of the very, very top contenders in my league, no. But if I think it's probably going to be like 209 or less, then
dude, bro is playing with fucking Geno Smith. He's finished.
Yeah, for 1 year. By the 24 draft, he's going to have a different quarterback throwing to him.
Yeah, and then the next thing you know, he's going to be the next Gerald Everett. Oh, he left Seattle and he went to play with Justin Herbert. Okay.
He's more talented. But I mean,
Gerald Everett,
Geno
tight end currently.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't get a second for Gerald Everett, so.
I was offering off Gerald Everett plus a third for a second. Didn't get accepted anywhere.
All right, let's get into buy the hype.
All right, well, yeah. There's a lot of good running backs, or not good running backs, but running backs that had good performances. And the question is, are we buying these guys for now their increased value? So we'll kick it off with the running back 1 on the week, Khalil Herbert. Are we buying into Khalil Herbert's hype?
Yes.
What are you sending for him? I've got a juicy Khalil Herbert on my bench. What are you giving me?
I definitely. I think it's a second round value. I think it's depending where. In the second,
you're 23 second. You're a decent team.
Oh, good lord, take him, please.
You giving it to me?
No, I'll take the pick. You could have Herbert. Goodbye.
Oh, really? I would rather.
You would trade Herbert for like a 210 or 211.
maybe not that. Like, depending on where my team is, like if he's just like sitting there and I'm a mediocre squad, yeah, give me 210.
All right, now
this like, I think part of what plays into this for me is do you think the Bears are gonna, in their cheap position, gonna pay a running back an extension?
No, but I don't think they're gonna come into a season saying Khalil Herbert's our one and only guy. Like, not obviously,
one and only, but
obviously
I think
not.
He could be the 1A.
Listen, Jake, who would you rather have, Khalil Herbert or CEH?
CEH.
Interesting. I know you're the CEH.
It's close for me between them two.
Here's the thing. I think this is where Takelock might get involved. But like Frank and I were.
I like Khalil Herbert, but I don't think. I'm just out on the Bears. I don't think this team is any good.
So Bears, it's changed.
Where was I going with this though? Oh, so Frank and I, we did this whole study where we looked at where we ranked all the 2021 prospects, and we saw who we were significantly higher or lower on ADP then. And Frank and I both were significantly higher on Khalil Herbert than what ADP was, and that might still be Takelock. But I would take it. I would trade maybe not like 201, 202, 203, but I'd trade those early second round picks for Khalil Herbert.
What?
Yeah, I just think
good.
I think running back's a fragile position where if you're a contender and you've got someone else's, second that's looking pretty nice, I think he's one of those great value pickups where David Montgomery is already hurt. Khalil Herbert, when in, has been outplaying David Montgomery. I think you have a starting running back in Khalil Herbert that you could get for a mid-second.
Yeah, I sold this motherfucker already. I sold him and all. You can look up my tweets. I have tweets from last year where I'm like, I'm joining a startup just to draft Khalil Herbert. I did the same thing with Brian Robinson this year. It's like one gets shot and the other I traded away before he got good. Like what the happened last night?
one gets shot. This is definitely a line I didn't expect.
I traded. I was like, dude, sweet. I'm getting a third for a backup. Hell yeah! Like.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think he's a backup.
What the hell?
Oh, he's not a backup, but Kareem Hunt is. Go away, JT.
How many 150-yard games does Kareem Hunt have this season?
I'm taking the second.
I really thought you were about to say in his career, and I was about to be like, a lot.
Yeah, how many RB1 finishes does RB1 overall finishes does Kareem Hunt have last week, Jake?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 1-0. The thing is, I just think Khalil Herbert, I'm going to get his name right at some point. I think he's going to work himself into that lead back role on this Bears offense.
I wouldn't doubt it for this year, but I'm not going to overreact and trade away a potential good pick in the middle of this second round in 2023. I'm not going to do that.
I can't go early second like you, JT, but I can go later second.
If I'm a rebuilding team, I'm not. Why are you paying up for a running back anyway? But
I thought you said you give an early second for him.
Yeah, if I have someone else's second, 204, 205. And in terms of
okay. Let's say you're like not a rebuilding team, but you just happen to have like a 203, 204 from a previous year.
Yeah, that's going for. I would go with Khalil Herbert if I think I'm making that push. But like, look, I'm looking at the trade finder thing. This is what we have for Herbert. We have him for a 2023 first straight up as of yesterday. That happened.
Damn.
Now this one's interesting, and I think we should make him our next guy on this hype. Damien Pierce and 23 fourth for Khalil Herbert and 23 first. That I think is
wait, what?
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be Pierce for Herbert, like
no,
pretty straightforward. Maybe like a small thing on this. Damn.
Okay. So that's where I think we should go next with our hype. But yeah, his price has definitely shot up because I mean, just looking at what he was traded for first as of yesterday. If we look at just a week ago, it was Herbert and a second for Brian Robinson. It was Herbert a first and a fourth for Brandon Cooks and Michael Thomas. Like, he was definitely not valued. Herbert for KJ Osborne straight up. Herbert and Jameer White for a second, a third. Yeah, Herbert for 2/3. That's what we were looking at 2 weeks ago. Now we're looking at him for a first, which I don't think you're actually getting a Herbert for like, I don't think you're going to be able to get first for Herbert in most leagues, but that early mid second, I think I traded away for Khalil Herbert.
Not early. I got you on mid.
I'm not giving up like 201. I'm not giving up the 13th.
No, but let's just say like a 203.
I'm giving up like I'd give those up.
All right, I've got Damien Pierce's keep trade cut value on the screen. I actually wanted to see where it was in relation to the beginning of the season. He's up from the beginning of the season. That's
crazy.
I thought it would be down a little bit. I thought that initial.
I mean, he's coming off a really good week.
He's bounced back since then.
Yeah, I was just, it's the fucking Texans. They got a lot of former Patriots guys in there. I didn't know if we were getting that. We just can't trust whoever the hell the running back is. Man, I just can't give up this value. I'm not buying into the hype. I'd be really shocked if any of you were as well.
No.
I'm a huge Damien Pierce fan. What's his value around draft pick wise? I'm probably not buying it.
You got to give me a first.
Yeah,
24
fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. I'm not giving a first for Damien Pierce, and I like him. I actually think he's impressed. In my opinion, he's impressed me a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a starter or not even like a starter like workhorse, but maybe like in a 1A out of a 1A 1B backfield. I just can't give a first for him. Just like talent evaluation wise.
Yeah,
I think
agree.
He's good.
Who would you guys rather have, Kenneth Walker or Damien Pierce?
Damien Pierce.
Oh.
Probably
that feels like Pierce was like the first answer that came to mind, but I'm like recency bias. Like it's just like Kenneth Walker is just getting started. I'd still think I have to take Kenneth Walker, but it's super close.
I mean, I'll put it like this, and this is kind of a cop-out.
Than it should be.
I don't like either of these players at their current values, so I'd rather just have Damien Pierce because I think he'd be easier for me to sell than Kenneth Walker.
Okay, that's fair. I think I still lean Walker by a little bit, but it's really close between them two. I think I'm so interested. If we did a redraft, what pick would be the second running back in that draft?
One of those two.
No, I'm saying like what pick would there even be a second running back in the first round?
I'm going to do it real quick. I would still take Hall 1. I think I'd take Wilson 2.
Oh, you would
London
still take
3.
Hall 1?
Yeah, Hall's getting targeted. I know it's Joe Flacco. I know it's Joe Flacco, but Hall's getting targeted a crazy amount. We just need to see the usage. If we see usage with Breece Hall, he's going to be in that top 3 running back conversation pretty easily.
No, he's so good.
I'd probably go Hall 1, Wilson 2, London 3.
You're welcome.
I think I still would take Burks 4. Olave 5 maybe now.
It doesn't need to be in order.
Jameson Williams. Yeah, Jameson Williams, I'm taking over him. I think that's tough.
Give me Dotson, give me Pickens.
I think I'd still take, and then I think I would take.
I was going to say, are you taking Pickett over?
I think I might take Pickett as well. Throw him in there. Throw in Brian Robinson. He got that dog in him.
Well, that's the second running back then. There it is. 111, 112.
So 111, 112. Damn, it's crazy that maybe even a second running back doesn't go in the first round. Because I could see someone still saying, like, I still believe in Sky Moore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there's guys like Wandale creeping in as well.
Yeah.
So what I got from this conversation, though, is we are at least mixed to leaning towards buying the hype on Herbert. We are not buying the hype on Damien Pierce if we still don't have him.
I don't think I like him. I'm just like any of these running backs really before the draft. Like, I liked him too, Lounis, but there's liking him and there's giving a first for him.
I know that I'm saying I'm on your side. I'm saying like it's not that we like don't buy like, oh, he's actually trash. Like I'm sure Frank feels the same way. He's a good running back. I'm just not giving up a first round pick for him.
Yeah, we're taking.
You can get good running backs without giving up a first round pick for them.
All right, let's get into some of these other guys though. Rhamondre Stevenson, did he do well last week?
Yeah, he was one of the top.
I mean, he did play well, but the Patriots' backfield is just so like him and Damien Harris are like on the same level. Damien Harris had a good game too. Like he was like it's just And then I mean, even if you're gonna buy any Patriots running back, wait a couple of weeks because their offense is about to be fucking atrocious while Mac Jones is out, and neither of those guys are gonna be scoring. So if you want to buy either of them, wait like 3-4 weeks, and their prices will be lower. I promise you, each of them.
I mean, the run defenses that they're playing aren't the greatest in these.
No, but I mean, like think about it. Like it's like Damien Pierce and Rhamondre Stevenson. 90% of the time, you're hoping for a touchdown because usually they each get like I think like 50 to like 70 yards.
That's the thing though. With Montgomery out, Rhamondre Stevenson is the very clear pass catching back for this Patriots offense. Then throw in. Well, how else are the Patriots moving the ball down this field? I think it's through these two guys.
Are you buying into the hype, JT?
I'm gonna pull up Rhamondre Stevenson's. The problem is
the main thing I'm gonna say is this: it's like even if you do want to buy either of those guys, I promise you,
I'd rather just get Herbert.
I promise you, Damien Harris and Rhamondre Stevenson's prices will be lower 3 weeks from now.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know if that's true.
Is that the case for Tony Pollard and Zeke? I don't think that's true.
What are you gonna say, Jake?
I'm with JT on this one. If I'm going to spend a mid-second on Rhamondre Stevenson, I'll go turn around and spend it on Herbert 10 times.
Oh yeah, I think Herbert's better.
Yeah, that's just a better play. It doesn't make sense to go after a Patriots running back. We've seen this before. As long as Belichick's there, he's going to just continually draft new ones and use new ones and then get rid of them. It's what it is, and it's just going to stay that way. I will say
though, the argument though is like if I'm looking for this year only, first off, I then want to spend the pick now. Than rather wait a couple weeks because I want the production now, theoretically. Mm-hmm. And where I'm looking at this is like, it is the case to a certain extent where there's always going to be running backs, but like if you could have the guy that's both James White and LeGarrette Blount in this offense, and that be Rhamondre Stevenson, I would take that. I would take a lot of points there.
Yeah, without Kenneth, what's his name? Freaking Khalil Herbert aside. Khalil Herbert aside. Uh-huh. Would you give up a 23-second? It's middle to late. You're a contending team for Rhamondre. Yay or nay?
Nah.
Yeah. If I'm looking for the chip, I'll
take so you would, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good. There are different running backs. I would sell
for the second.
There are different running backs you can get that I think can give you numbers.
I think Jamal Williams, right? We're going to go into him. Can I
Jamal
get
Williams?
Jamal Williams for
a great one. If you're a contender and trying to get points, Jamal Williams will give you points.
Yeah, but can I get him for a third?
No.
Ooh, probably not.
It'll have to be a second for a third swap.
Yeah, and then is that worth it?
That's probably it. Is it worth it?
Is it worth it?
I think I'd feel comfortable making that. I would 1,000% do it if I have DeAndre Swift.
Mm-hmm.
Auditor's not doing a 23-second for Rhamondre either.
And it
JT, you're
like
the only one.
Not, it's fine. I'll be the Lone Ranger here.
He's also not doing it for Jamal Williams either, the swap.
Yeah, look, Jamal Williams, I think he's a vulture. He's going to get his points here and there. I think he's just kind of unreliable, and I think he's also
RB7.
Yeah, I think he's
gonna fall. Yeah,
I think he's capped though, because if DeAndre Swift's out, then you're going to see Craig Reynolds like we saw last year. It's just Jamal Williams is just not the full workload guy. Even with Swift out, he's just not. Even with Aaron Jones out, he's just not that full workload guy. That he's never had that. He's never been that. He just isn't. So you're not getting that cool upside that you would with a Khalil Herbert or with a Rhamondre Stevenson, where if Damien Harris or if David Montgomery are out, you're getting essentially the full backfield with the guy that you're getting there. Jamal Williams, he's still going to be splitting it with whoever he's with. So to that extent, I'm probably not buying the hype on Jamal Williams.
Yeah, I completely agree. We're also expecting the Lions to be a top 5 scoring offense the rest of the way.
Yeah, at the pace they're going.
I think that this is a scenario that as a Jamal Williams roster, I would be licking my chops at the ability to sell him for draft picks.
But like more specifically, like you taking that if you get offered the second for Jamal and a third.
Yeah, I would do that 100%.
Okay, I think that's fair. I probably would too. depending on the situation.
Jamal Williams is never a player that I'm comfortable starting unless DeAndre Swift is on the injury report.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, agreed.
Which is like 95% of the time.
Also,
but, yeah, true. I don't know. But yeah, I think you're also right. Khalil Herbert just outclasses him. I'm still not 100% sure that Jamal Williams is an amazing fantasy running back that has this RB1 upside if DeAndre Swift isn't there. I'm not sure if DeAndre Swift isn't exactly, but you're right. Points. Like these other running backs are still there. So
I will say though, that is part of the cost. Like, I mean, I was just looking between the 3 running backs in Damien Pierce, or 4 Damien Pierce, Rhamondre, Khalil Herbert, and Jamal Williams. And Jamal Williams is just significantly less than the other 3. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm looking at trades that happened with him. He's got straight up for a third. Him for this one's interesting. This seems expensive for Jamal.
I love the idea of trading a third for him.
Yeah, Jamal Williams for Michael Carter, a third and a fourth. That seems very expensive.
What about a guaranteed 2023 early third? This thing is like our pick in the Orphan League third. For those who don't know, it's like guaranteed top.
Would I give that up, or would I trade?
Would you give that up for like which side?
I just told.
If I'm a contender, I'd give that up easily. If I'm a
we'd all rather the third.
If I'm a playoff team, I'll trade that for Jamal Williams.
Interesting. What about you?
Well, playoff team.
I just don't think his production's sustainable. I would go after a different asset.
An early third?
Again, if I had DeAndre Swift, it would be a different story. Just because you get a handcuff. I know you don't believe in handcuffs. You just say
if you have DeAndre Swift, that's an easy yes. Yeah.
I think he's a guy that if you have DeAndre Swift, it's worth paying up for Jamal Williams here.
Okay.
I think I would take that early third and I'd bring him to one of these other guys in our buying hike segments. I would try and get Curtis Samuel with this early third.
He's past that at this point.
He's already past that.
He's way past
I'm
that.
looking
what about
at
a second and a third? Second and a third for Curtis Samuel.
A second and a third?
The second, third.
Second and a third seems high. I mean, I'm looking at the trades that have gone on with Curtis Samuel. It doesn't seem like...
check out
listen, I have Curtis in a bunch of leagues. No shot in hell I'm trading him for a third.
Oh, yeah.
Curtis Samuel for Hunter Renfrow. Curtis Samuel in a third for a second and a third. So I guess maybe a second there.
Curtis Samuel's pretty much become...
Curtis Samuel is currently at 3,300 or pick 203 in 2022. So you can figure it out from there. He's pretty much worth a mid-second.
A mid-23. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd give up.
I would do that.
I think I would as well.
I mean, as of right now, he's not a flexible receiver. He's a good receiver. Like Luna said, he's not as old as people think.
He's 26. Yeah.
I mean, this was one of those... I picked him up 17th, 16th round dart throw pick, but I picked him up to be a flex player. The guy's putting up top 24 numbers. He's done it before. This offense looks like a Teddy Bridgewater with the Panthers a couple years ago. If you look at the production from kind of all facets, it seems like that offense, right? Like if not even more pass heavy than that offense with Teddy Bridgewater was. So yeah, give me fucking Curtis Samuel.
He's been a target hog.
I think I agree there.
Hog. He's like wide receiver 10 and like half PPR. Obviously, he's not going to finish wide receiver 1, but
Wentz is like the meme with Joe Burrow, like fuck it, Jamar down there somewhere, but instead of down there, it's like 5-yard dump off.
Like no down there, like yeah, fuck 5 yards.
It's just like all right, yeah. Let me just throw it a screen pass right here. Yeah, he's down there somewhere.
if I turn to my left and just chuck it, he might find it.
Oh, you want a shovel pass too? How about that?
How about you just line up in the backfield and I hand it to you?
Yeah.
All right, let's
get carries.
Last guy on this, if we're buying the hype. The one that has the dreaded Achilles injury.
Never dies. What is dead may never die.
Let's go.
James Robinson is a miracle.
A miracle. I think the word you're looking for is beast.
He's also a beast, but this is a miracle.
I think we're on the. Time out. If we're on like the plane here, I think miracle is above beast, isn't it? Like I'd rather be someone call
I don't know. Like miracle's more.
No, miracle makes it seem like it's unexpected. It is
unexpected. Who was expecting
this? He's been a running back 1. And now he's back being a running back 1. He is a beast.
You didn't think he'd be an RB1.
I didn't, but that's what now I'm saying he is.
Sounds like you didn't expect it though.
I didn't expect it.
Do I think he can keep up this pace? No. Do I think he's going to finish an RB2 though? Yes, and a pretty good RB2, which is way better than I thought he'd be. I've been insanely impressed.
I don't know. I think he might be able to finish as an RB1.
I think he. Frank, you're
muted.
That's why I say a good RB2.
Muted, Frank. Yeah.
James Robinson is Euron Greyjoy. I've got it on the screen.
Okay.
Euron Greyjoy.
He never dies. Would his dead may never die, and he's just sticking around. He's just sticking around way longer than he should. That's what he's doing.
Did you see that in the Thrones?
You try to replace him. You try to get rid of him, and he just finds a way to stick around. Sorry. On a serious note, what's the price for James Robinson? I've got a couple James Robinsons still that I've hung on to.
Contender first.
If you held them on this long, you're riding the wave still. I don't know how.
If I can get
him and James Conner.
If I can get a top 4 23-second, I'd accept it.
Really?
Like if you promise me 2 or 3 or 2 or 4, I think I'd accept.
Oh, I think
we have a trade there.
Yeah, I think James Robinson's on a much higher playing field than Khalil Herbert, who I like a lot. And I was just going to give up a early to mid 23-second for Herbert.
Well, I did also say I wouldn't give up an early second for Herbert. I said Herbert, I have second.
It's fair.
What about James Robinson and a contender 23-second for a 24 first? How are we feeling about that?
Well, I just don't like giving up these first. But
I'm not doing it. That's the thing. I'm not doing any first in a trade that only gets.
No, I'm selling James Robinson. I guess we're not buying the hype. I'm selling the hype right now, guys. Sorry.
Okay, wait. Would you sell James Robinson and what a late second for?
Yeah, like a late second and 24 first for.
I would do that trade.
I don't know if
or
you have
25.
to.
Fuck it.
I don't know if you have to.
I don't think you have to throw in the second. I think at worst it would be a Robinson and a third for a first. At worst, I do not think you need to give a second in this trade.
But I could guarantee do that. I feel like I could guarantee go out there and get a first round.
What is James Robinson at? James Robinson, okay, he's at RB19. He is about at a 2024 late first.
Yeah, but everyone's natural reaction is exactly what you were saying. Okay, I'd love to get James Robinson, but a first isn't going to be included in the deal. That is how every single person in existence values James Robinson. Oh, yeah, great player. All of a sudden, okay, well, how about you give me a first for him? No fucking shot.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to get first.
I mean, on the other side of the spectrum, that's where. Okay, wait, that sounded crazy. No, if I have James Robinson, I would take an early second in 2023. If it looks like it's gonna, if someone's offering me 203 or 204 for James Robinson, I'm accepting. I'm saying I didn't mean to come down here and be like the James Robinson hater. I've been impressed by him. I've been super impressed. I'm looking at the value.
Maybe it's 23 because this is looking. I'm
saying in 2023. If you offer me 203 or 204, I'm taking that. I like him. I'm way higher on him now than I was entering the year. I've been beyond impressed by James Robinson. He shocked me every week, but if I can sell high on this, would I? Yeah, if I can get 2 or 3 or higher, or especially anything in the first round, then yeah. Even if it's like a 25
you like doing first. That more than the 23. What if it was just a 24 second and you get to keep your 23 pick? It's a 24 second James Robinson for a 24 first. You're going up a clean 12 from the wasteland that is potentially the second round.
Okay, can we assume it's equal points in each round? Like when you said going up 12.
Yeah, you're the same guy's team. Yeah, you're going up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd probably do that trade to get the first. To get like a premier prospect, yeah.
What about you, JT? Are you doing it then?
I still think ETN is just getting comfortable being back.
I think,
and ETN looks good, by the way, and he's just getting more.
He looks all right. He looks fine.
I thought he looked pretty good.
As far as we're seeing with James Robinson, like the current James Robinson that we're seeing play, I just don't think lets ETN get on the field nearly as much as people who have ETN would like. I just don't think we're going to see a lot of ETN with current James Robinson.
I think you're going to see more of ETN. These are his first games in the NFL, coming off a huge injury.
I think I might agree with JT. I think ETN might be a glorified Kenneth Gainwell.
The problem with ETN was always ETN was an overhyped prospect who then had a very tough injury with.
He had a bad week 1. He had a bad week 1.
He was but
he dropped the pass.
The problem is we have a guy returning from an Achilles injury who's out playing him.
He came from a list, Frank. You act like he didn't come from a major injury too. It's not like he's healthy.
Yeah, but I don't think he's games. I don't think he's gonna. I struggle to see ETN really breaking into this, like making a 50-50 split.
I'm not saying it has to. I mean, I think they're going to be used in different ways. I don't think it's going to be like even rushing attempts, but I think you'll see ways where it's like ETN is getting a lot of his points receiving. Maybe it's like the 60 or 60-40, 65-35 in terms of actual carries, and then ETN's getting all those routes and targets out of the running back position.
I don't know, man. Like we're talking about a guy that we need to become DeAndre Swift. If I look at ETN's value, if I don't think he can become DeAndre Swift, I am out. It's like we were saying earlier. I don't want this running back. I would rather transition to the equal valued receiver, which I think if you were to look on Keep Trade Cut is Elijah Moore, which I would do.
ETN is still behind like an AJ Dillon.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. AJ Dillon
but
better.
They're both at a late
no,
I'd rather
have ETN pretty easily. I still believe in Okay, so I'm the only ETN believer.
It's not that I don't believe in ETN. Am I going to bet on ETN?
At his price, I'm not an ETN.
I'm betting on ETN.
I just don't think I'm looking at the menu and I'm saying, yeah, I'm going to, with all of my hard-earned chips, order the ETN. No shot.
Well,
I'll let someone else do it.
I have ETN in the original 3-20 league, where I'm 3-0, by the way. And I don't want him anymore. Yeah.
Well,
anyone wants ETN, reach out to me.
I just think that he's the type of dude. Give me one good game and I'm out. Hands clean. Can re-swing. All right. Anyone else? I think we're done with Buy the Hype. Any other takes? Any juicy juicers?
Is there any immediate advice I have? I don't know.
We're in for a doozy Thursday night football game between Dolphins and Bengals. Let's put up.
Oh man, that's gonna be a good game. What's my final advice? Trade away CEH. Trade away Bateman. Buy Jameson Williams. That's all I got.
All right. Well, I guess that's going to do it from us here. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like, subscribe button. It really helps us out, and we'd really appreciate it. We got the stocks segment coming tomorrow, which, by the way, if you're in the chat right now, I'm not sure if anyone has heard of the what's it, Mojo?
Yeah,
Mojo. The Mojo market. I don't know, the sports stock market.
Mojo sports stock market.
Mojo Sportsbook. I don't know what you call it, but apparently there's a thing. It was like that app Prediction Strike, but Prediction Strike sucked from what I know. No offense or anything. I can't even say the fucking name. Prediction Strike.
There it is.
Pick a better name first off. You can't even say it. But apparently Mojo isn't as bad, or maybe people are just being paid to say that. I don't know. If you guys would want to see us incorporate Mojo into the stock segment, let us know, because I'd have to do some work to do that. But if people want to see that, I'm willing to invest the effort. Mojo money.
Mojo money.
The Mojo land. Yeah, whatever. Let us know in the comments. We really appreciate it. We'll be on the stock segment for tomorrow. Good luck in your fantasy matchups this week. I'm rooting for you unless you're playing against me or you're Lounis. Peace out. Have a good one.
See you, everyone.